No. Okay, so 6:03 we opened. All right, so I wanted to commend the extraordinary efforts that have been made to conduct two very important searches in such a short amount of time. The two search committees volunteered many hours of their own time to review applications, interview applicants, and present options for our consideration. The principal search committee consisted of Frank Perotti, Mickey McGee, Lisa Dameron, Coley Blair, Holly Ketterer, Lori Wadsworth, and Elizabeth Glenshaw. The superintendent committee consisted of, again, Frank, Tom Harkins, Elise Foxall, Jim Norris, Sarah Glass, Dina Cutting, and Jen Boylston. Always in the background, I want to say thank you to Kristen Clark and Janet Mitchell in the SAU for wrangling all the applications in a timely way, and to the community members who came out to meet the candidates and provide their feedback. And of course, a thank you not to the board this time, but arguably we all signed on to this job, but to our families who tolerated us out of our house so frequently. This search, I know in my household, has been very taxing, and a recognition of that is certainly in order. And lastly, a special thanks to the extra efforts put in by the two chairs, Tom and Mickey. You guys coordinated a wonderful day of touring and interviewing for each of our candidates. And it left all the applicants really impressed with our school, so thank you. These efforts that everyone demonstrated are exactly what make Lyme so special. And the board has really set an ambitious goal and we've met it. And so true Lyme spirit, thank you for all of that. All right. See, oh, public comment, sorry. First, public comment. I'd like to invite any public for comment. Is there anybody has raised their hand? Lee, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
I would like to address the board regarding the current status of technology at the Lyme School. First, I would like to commend the Lyme School Technology Committee for previously presenting to the school board a very comprehensive and thorough plan. The proposed goals, grade level technology competencies, and recommendations for support from IT professionals, as well as services from a library media specialist, technology integrationist are appropriate from my perspective. The lens through which I make this assertion is my role as an educational professional and as a parent. I am an assistive technology practitioner who has worked in multiple middle schools and high schools in the area. All of the K-12 public schools in our area have full-time library and media specialists, ed tech integration support, as well as IT coordination and support services. There are clearly two separate but related needs concerning technology, IT and educational technology integration. On the one hand, there is the need for IT support to provide and maintain the technology infrastructure, including network administration, management of the student information system, technical assistance, and hardware and software training, setup, and repair. A successful SAU needs this support to ensure secure and efficient administrative functioning. Without consistently reliable technology, teachers cannot plan lessons around its use, cannot provide accessible formats to differentiate instruction, and cannot design lessons in accordance with universal design for learning. When technology does not function, learning time is lost, student attention span quickly diminishes, and our students suffer. I have seen this firsthand. The second issue that has been clearly expressed in the school technology plan and expressed frequently and unequivocally by teachers is the need for the support and expertise of the library media specialist / tech integrationist. All of the high schools we send our students to utilize learning management systems, which require students to use multiple media tools, manage digital materials to both access and respond to the content, use multiple online tools, and manage devices. Lyme students need the skills outlined in the technology integration competencies to prevent them from being at a significant disadvantage entering freshman year, compared to the majority of their classmates whose middle school programs allowed them to gain proficiency using these technologies. The library media specialist tech integrationist works with the students and the teachers to help guide, train, and support the educational use of technology in the curriculum. This is the professional that supports our school's access to databases, teaches students how to use reliable resources for research, and introduces, trains, and supports students and faculty in the use of technology tools for project-based learning. This professional works with teachers and students to use and incorporate a variety of educational technology programs to meet learning goals, differentiate the curriculum for different learning styles and students having disabilities, and provide students with the foundation technology skills they need for their successful transition to the demands of high school. It is evident to me that the highly qualified educational and technology professionals who develop the school technology plan are in an ideal position to assess the needs of the school from multiple perspectives. As far as process, it would seem to me that the appropriate approach would be for a board member liaison to collaborate with this committee as they work to finalize and implement this plan. Instead, it seems that the school board has opted to develop a board technology committee and plan a technology needs study with an outside IT consultant. I am concerned that there has been no discussion of school personnel being included in this committee, and that the approach being taken by the board indicates this study will be considering the issues from only the IT portion of the school's overall needs. Of further significant concern is the 50% FTE reduction of the school's library media specialist tech integrationist contract indicated on the teacher list being presented tonight for renewal. It is clear the board lacks understanding of the needs and priority of technology integration in the educational setting and is not listening to all of the Lyme school staff who have been very clear in their request for additional IT services to support educational technology integration. This cut further undermines the needs of the teachers and students. This process of school board micromanagement, rather than collaboration, is sending a strong message that it undervalues the expertise of our educators. I feel it is important to let our school professionals know that many community members, including myself, do not share this view. Our school faculty and administration, in all due respect, are much more qualified than board members trained as medical professionals, lawyers, economists, and or business people to determine what educational technology tools and support is needed for them to provide a quality curriculum and learning environment to our students. We are in the process of introducing a new superintendent and new principal to the Lyme School. The board should be guiding these new administrators to work with the school technology committee over the course of the year to identify priorities and needs, review and finalize the goals and recommendations for the school, and present these findings to the school board. The position that was posted for an IT technology specialist should be filled. The library media specialist, tech integrationist should remain full-time, and both should be included in a process along with the teaching staff and new administrators to finalize and implement the Lyme School technology plan. Please support our teachers, staff, and students with the resources they all need to be successful. I will be sending this letter to you, and I would like it to be incorporated into the formal documentation and records from the meeting. Thank you.
Is there any other public that would like to speak? We've had a request to read Jim Norris's letter. Do you have sent it to me, but I don't know if anyone else has seen it.
I sent it to school board.
Or did you send it to school board?
Did that go to everybody?
No. No, because I didn't send it wrong.
If I can find it.
And then it looks like Sarah Croft.
Sarah, why don't you go ahead?
I'll go ahead and add my voice, and I want to agree with Lee. I really appreciate not just on this specific issue of supporting staff who have put in so much time and effort in the technology arena, but also to emphasize the issue that she brought up in terms of supporting our teachers and staff who know the school, the needs of the school, the culture of the school, and have the long-term view. And again, noting that the school board is there to guide, but not to manage or make major decisions, as there's, difference in training, turnover. And I do echo her concern that there is overreach, and perhaps the term micromanaging is appropriate. And I will just raise my concerns as well. And also my strong support of the incredible sacrifices, the incredible work that has been done by our teachers and staff. And I want to make sure that they get the message loud and clear, that their community supports them, that we appreciate what they've done. In a time that's been so demanding and been mentally and emotionally taxing on us, I think the most important thing that we can all do as a community and as a school board is to make sure our teachers and staff know that we're behind them and we support them and we support the culture and the values that the Lyme School stands for. And I just want to say, I think that it's really crucial right now at this time of transition that we all come together in a unified and collaborative approach to make sure that those Lyme School values and the community values we hold so dear are not lost.
Thank you, Sarah. Jim, did you find the letter? I have it. You wanted me to read it.
I have it.
You do have it?
Yeah.
Would you like to read it?
Sure.
So this is a letter that was sent in by Jim Norris.
Dear Lyme School Board. Oh, come on. Dear Lyme School Board members and Dr. Perotti, as a Lyme resident and retired educator, I am writing to urge you to reconsider your decision to not renew the 1.0 FTE library media specialist / technology integrator position, and specifically the person currently holding that position, Becky Narat. To give context to my remarks, let me add that I served as the principal of Lebanon High School for 3 years and the principal of the Richmond Middle School for 7 years. During that time, both schools were engaged in redesigning the way in which media literacy was integrated into the curriculum. I served on the steering committee that drafted the 2019-24 Lyme School Strategic Plan. Finally, this year, I was hired by the school district as an outside evaluator for the school's faculty, and as such, spent many hours this past fall discussing teachers' professional goals and observing them teach. I will lead the 2019-24 strategic plan, which is intended to guide the growth of the school. The successful implementation of a media literacy curriculum features prominently in this plan. Recommendation 2 states, quote, to continue to improve curriculum and instruction to lead students to the regular application of the principles of learning and habits of mind and efforts that will enable them to be successful as they progress in their education, end quote. The first principle of learning cited under, quote, higher and order thinking skills, end quote, is the student's ability to analyze and evaluate information. This is one of the primary goals of the current position, and I have witnessed the collaboration between Becky and classroom teachers to integrate this into the grade level curriculum. I have also observed Becky effectively teaching these skills to students. Recommendation 3 states, quote, to refine the school's philosophy and approach for how technology will be implemented to promote learning, end quote. This recommendation called on the school to design a technology plan that identified the philosophy, the skills progression for students, and the professional resources necessary for staff development around the integration of technology in the regular curriculum. My understanding is that a staff committee has developed this plan and that it includes a full-time library media specialist / technology integrator. Further, it was my understanding from the budget presentation at the March 3rd school district meeting, which passed without one nay vote, that this position is funded at 1.0 FTE in the approved budget. During my time as principal at both area schools, we undertook a similar strategic planning process with similar results. While these schools are larger than Lyme, both faculties came to understand that you can ask a qualified person to focus on curriculum integration of technology, or you can ask a person to keep the computer system including the student management data systems running smoothly. The former needs someone grounded in classroom teaching with experience in collaboration with his or her colleagues who can engage students in learning new skills. The latter is someone who is comfortable troubleshooting a bulky machine and knowledgeable in the language that keeps student information systems like PowerSchool running efficiently. You have seen the departure of a former faculty member who was hired as the Design Lab Technology Coordinator, then was asked to provide both library and tech services to the school, and found that combining these two responsibilities was too much for one person. Scroll. As a former principal, I certainly understand a school board wishing to re-examine specific programs or staffing or resource allotment. As a taxpayer, I certainly appreciate a school board's responsibility assessing whether tax dollars are being spent wisely. What I don't understand in this case is the timing of this review. My understanding is that there is a plan developed by a school technology committee outlining the resources and structure necessary to most effectively and efficiently meet the goals outlined in the strategic plan. The money for the position was included in the building of the 2022-23 budget, which had overwhelming town support. One of the key staff members is already in place. If the board determines that a re-examination of library and technology services is advised, it would seem that the better time to do that would be next year, not at the end of this school year. Finally, as the person responsible for hiring and supervising Becky Neroth at the Richmond Middle School, and now as one of the 3 evaluators of her performance in the classroom, I am confident that in Becky you have an experienced teacher, one who connects easily with students, who can quickly assess how to differentiate instruction to individual students, and who has honed her collaboration skills as a member of the Upper Valley Educators staff. As a Lyme resident who values our school's staff above all, I hope that the board will make it their high priority to retain our most successful teachers. Thanks for considering these remarks. Jim Norris, 84 Franklin Hill Road, Lyme.
Thank you. And I'll attach that to our notes as well. Is there any other public comment? Oh, Deb.
Deb Robinson, North Bedford Road. I worked at Lyme School several years ago in the middle school, in the kindergarten with the Four Winds program, and for 2 years with the 6th and 7th graders. And at that time, Meg Franks was a full-time tech person. We both managed the software and the grading system, any computer needs that the school had, whether it was keeping the laptops in shape for the students or managing the grading software. He also taught a curriculum of computer skills that I don't believe is being taught anymore. He taught the kids how to use the Google Suite, so they knew how to do a spreadsheet. They knew how to manage sourcing. And I think some of this is covered in it's been integrated into some of the classes, but not in the same depth that Meg was able to do it as a full-time person dedicated to it. There was also Jay Cook in the school, who was the half-time library person. So you had 1.5 FTE who were dedicated to media in one way or another. I now work at Hanover High School, and they have, of course, it's like 750 students. They have 4 full-time tech people, and I believe 2 or 3 library people who are not solely dedicated to tech. And when we recently had our March intensive, they said, oh, here's a new software you might like for keeping your March intensive groups connected. It had to do with basically getting cell phone access to people without having compromising student information. So I contacted Becky to say, we're going to be doing an 8th grade trip to Washington. It would really be great to have this software to use with the 8th graders on the trip. It would help things. And she said, sorry, we don't have the bandwidth to do that. I don't have time. I think tech is a really high priority in our schools. It's the reality for students now. And to expect that you don't have a full-time person dedicated to that and your students get the learning they need is unrealistic and unacceptable to me as a parent of a student coming out of this school. There was, I think, something of a kerfuffle to have a couple of years ago, Jake Cook's replacement hired who wasn't particularly qualified. And I think that put a damper on people wanting to have a fully qualified library person. That should not get in the way of recognizing that there is still a need for library resources. I'm a library trustee of Lyme, and the school has put a lot of burden on the library to provide library services. Judy Russell works, I don't know how many hours a week, probably 60 hours a week. And some of that is because the school has imposed on her services without recompense. There's some arrangement there, but I think that situation has been abused. So to cut back on library resources and tech resources at this time, I find unacceptable. And I urge the board to fully fund media specialists for tech and to reconsider that at least a half-time library person who's dedicated to maintaining the school library as well as a relationship with the town library is a necessity. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Is there any other public comment? So seeing none, I will move to staff comment.
Are you
Mr.
to
David?
the
Oh, okay.
LEA
I have
statement?
the LEA statement. So
Okay.
Amanda Burns, I teach 5th grade. I'm going to read the statement from the LEA. So this will be sent to you guys so you can include it in the public record. But as an LEA, we're concerned with the lack of transparency around decisions being made that impact the students, the staff, and the school. The school board webpage lists each school board committee with a link to agendas and the minutes. When you click on the high school committee link, it brings you to a page that says that you need access and to email to request access. The most recent finance committee meetings minutes that were posted online are from April 9th, 2021. When clicking on the facilities minutes, the link brings you to an empty folder. Clicking on the policy committee link brings you to a page that says you need to access and again, request access via email. The most recent wellness committee meeting minutes are from December of 2020. The most recent minutes posted from the personnel committee are from October 25th, 2021. Clicking on the communication links brings you to a folder with minutes, the most recent being from November 8th, 2021. Clicking on the technology link brings you to the same folder that clicking on the committee link brings you to, a folder for the communications committee, and no mention of technology for technology committee meetings. This is particularly troubling because of all of the things that people have been discussing tonight in the public comment. And there's very important and impactful decisions regarding technology that have been made at some point, but there's no public record, whether an agenda or minutes or any kind of record of those discussions happening during an official meeting of any sort. So it is our right and the right of the public to know when those discussions are happening and which school board members are participating in them. So we want you, the school board, and the public to know that the morale around the building continues to be very low. The teachers are not feeling supported by this board. We've expressed this sentiment privately and publicly for months. And we continue to hold it together and provide high quality instruction for the children of Lyme. in spite of the lack of support that we're receiving from the board and the questionable decisions that are being made. We would like more transparency from the board, more faith in our expertise around education, and more input into the decisions that impact our daily instruction and livelihood. So please consider the human impact that your decisions have both on students and staff. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item of our agenda.
I have a comment, Steph, comment.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Sorry. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
So for the record, my name is Stephen Dano. I'm currently a fourth grade teacher, a proud holder of the Lyme Lion, which is the Boston cane representing the longest staff member here. I'd first like to thank the board and previous board members for all the service, especially Elizabeth and Jonathan, who are doing double time, and how I recognize the efforts and time you've committed to them. As a parent, as an educator, one of my greatest aspirations is to convey a sense of character to my students. Character displayed by words spoken, sometimes not spoken, by our actions and interactions with each other. I've had the privilege of working in this community for many years, and I've seen extraordinary acts of character from my students, from parents, from the community. The last few years, dare I say, have been unprecedented. COVID has tested our character individually and collectively. It's been emotional, messy, confusing, tense, etc., etc. I'm extremely proud of being a member of this staff, the way we have navigated through this adversity to get us to this point. However, I respectfully challenge the board's character in regards to the manner in which you have navigated the tech issues to Lyme School this year. Your words, your actions, or lack of actions are in question. I'm well aware that this issue, and perhaps several others, are possibly rooted in the complications resulting of our district's past organizational structure. Let me remind this board that that decision to go to a DA was a unilateral decision by a previous board. There was no discussion, no input by staff, parents, or community members, contrary to a strategic goal for communication and transparency. The LEA is on record of warning the board of a possible conflict of interests, lack of checks and balances, and structural confusion of the decision-making process by implementing a private independent school model at a public school entity. But as my 102-year-old grandmother spoke in broken Yiddish and English, but was. Tonight, the board's character will be reflected in the decisions you make moving forward. The tech issues reflected in who you hire, who may not be hired, who is renewed, who is not renewed. So in closing, I'd like to remind the board and everyone that ultimately the character of the Lyme School is reflected in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for trying to.
That's okay.
All right, so moving on to.
We have another.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I don't know if this is a comment, it's a question, and I'm a member of the public.
Okay.
So my question is, after listening to Deb and Steve and Amanda and Jim Nurse, is and their comments are now part of this board meeting records. What kind of response, what kind of venue, what kind of protocol does the board have to address and answer those questions, so they just don't go into the record and then move along. I mean, is this something that happens as a matter of fact? Is it a separate meeting? To me, it seems like they're asking questions and laying out points that deserve addressing. So my question is, how do these points and concerns get addressed?
So anytime there is I can speak to a brief response in terms of any way that we can respond to questions, we have to do it in a public forum.
Right.
And so potentially, since we are, a lot of the issues are on our agenda related to the nominations, we might go into non-public to discuss certain things and then come back out and make statements in response to them. There are other elements that we might not respond to today. Does that seem fair? Correct.
Could you state your name?
My name is Lynn McCray. I've lived in town since 1980, and my 3 sons have had Mr. name. And I have been a teacher in Thetford for many, many years, and am now a nurse at Hanover High School.
I can address just a little bit on procedure. I'm Frank Perotti, the interim superintendent. The board is not allowed to publicly discuss any employee. They can go into non-public to discuss employees for various reasons, employment, compensation, reputation, all kinds of things like that. They can do that before they go to the nomination list if they, in that vote, if they wish tonight, or they can proceed as they're set up and vote however they vote on those things, and then address that issue if later. So that's a procedural approach. They can do either, or they can do both. That's in regard to employees. In regard to the issues around that have been brought up around the tech committees and the strategic plans and the tech plan and all of those things, I believe the intent is to address those at future meetings as we go forward and try to get everybody, both the school perspective and the professional people who work there, and the school board members who work there, along with the outside consultant person who's hopefully doing a quick look at other schools and evaluation and brings that material back, and then we'll address this whole issue because at least that is my advice to them, to the board and to the school folks, is that they need to get clear. Everybody needs to get clear on what the facts are, not each other's facts. Everybody needs to get clear on what the needs really are. And then everybody needs to be clear and understand how those needs are met by professional staffing. And those positions can be adjusted at any point during the year to make sure that happens properly.
And a point of clarification,
Sure.
when we say professional staffing, you're talking about the professional staff already embedded within the Lyme school, or a professional staff person?
No, I'm
elsewhere?
talking about the professionals at the school. You've
I
got a
see.
lot of
Thank you.
really good people at the
Yeah.
school who are working in the field and doing that work. You actually have a lot of knowledgeable professional people here around this table who also have knowledge as well. So I think one of the issues is one of silos. And I think there has not been good, strong communication between folks for what it sounds like listening to the comments tonight for many years. So this is not an immediate problem that just happened. It's one that needs to be solved though, so that the district can move forward.
Thank you for your.
That's how I see it.
Thank you. All right, so moving on with our business. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from 2 days ago, March 28th.
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Next one, is to nominate a principal to start in the upcoming school year.
Do we need to give Jen authority to vote?
Oh, we do.
Yeah, she can.
You are correct. I apologize. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So because Jen is remote, we do need to grant you authority to vote. And so, gosh, how did we do this? I already forgot.
I'll make a motion to invite Jen Wilson to vote remotely over Zoom.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
that means we have to do it by roll call.
I won't give you the weather report
Okay.
because you'll just feel bad.
So I will like to make a motion to nominate Josh Myler for principal of the Lyme School,
Second.
seconded by Jonathan. And I would like to invite Mickey, you as chair of the principal committee, if you could share information about the search and everything.
I couldn't get hard copy for you guys.
Thank you.
We had two very strong candidates, as you know, and as you were able to meet. We also conducted a survey. The principal committee would like to unanimously recommend Josh Byler for the position of principal at the Lyme School. We approve this recommendation for the following reasons. Josh had an extremely positive reference checks from all of his references. One reference said they would be devastated if he left. He's currently a principal. Josh demonstrated a strong ability to navigate difficult conversations from community, parents, and staff. He seems compassionate, a good listener, and someone that would step in at any level to offer support. Josh grew up in a town similar to Lyme and works currently in a town that has similar demographics as Lyme. He seems like someone that would be able to get along with all different types of personalities. He comes with great experience as principal. He said that he has experience with middle school curriculum also. The survey results were favorable towards Josh. There were 33 people that responded to the survey. That was from community members that attended his meet and greet, as well as staff that attended a staff meet and greet. The results indicated 45.5% towards Josh and 18.2% towards John. The rest did vote unsure. Quote from the middle school students: he seems friendly, clearly likes kids, seems kid-centered. He appears to be able to collaborate on any level in regard to curriculum discussions and structures of school. He understands developmental levels of children spanning K through 8. His approach his first year is to learn, listen, and see how we can make what the school and community needs come to fruition. We also have available all the comments from the survey, pros and cons that support this decision.
Thank you. So, and we all interviewed him on Monday. So, is there any further comments from the board?
I would just say that I am, as your interim superintendent, I think it's an excellent choice. I love his demeanor. I love the fact that every single person we talked to spoke to his integrity. And I think he'll be a real positive force if we can nail down this contract and get him here.
So all in favor of hiring Josh Myler as principal of Lyme School?
You have to do roll
Oh,
call.
for next year, that's right, roll call. So I will go roll call. Jen? I'm gonna go-
Yes.
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 Elizabeth? Ben? Hayes?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Excellent. So next item on the agenda is the nomination of staff for the 2022-23 school year. We all have there's a copy in the documents folder. This is reflective of some changes that we made in the budget in terms of there were a couple of staff that were changed around. Do I have a motion for approval of the nomination list of staff for the 2022-23 school year?
So moved.
Greenway,
I'll second.
Eagle,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Given the fact that there needs to be discussion with regard to one of the nominations, how can you sit and approve the slate without the further conversation?
If we need to discuss, this is the staff part, not the teachers. So if there's a question on any one of the people on the staff, then we would need to
Oh,
go
I
into
see,
non-public.
I see. Well.
There's two documents. in the
There's two
folder.
Oh,
documents,
I see, okay.
Is there any other? I don't know if you had a chance to review it.
No.
Any other questions or comments or about staff nominations?
Do we, I mean, this is mostly procedural, but it's referring to new person. We don't have to vote on those specifically anyway when they come in, right? I mean,
We
it doesn't matter,
nominated-
but it's
We already nominated both of them. actually,
Right,
So that's
exactly.
actually not,
kind of spurious, it's fine.
Yeah. we did them separately. All right, so seeing no further discussion, I will do roll call. Jen? In favor of the staff nomination list.
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes,
Yes. All right, do I have a motion to move the teacher, the nomination list for teachers?
So
One second. A second, for the nomination. We need to go into non-public before we do the nomination. We can go into.
Do you want a second or do you just want to go into non-public? I can second to move it if we need to do that first.
I would suggest we do the motion and then go into non-public to discuss, if that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, so second by Boylston. And so with that,
Noah, can I point out something? There's someone on the chat that really wants to know who is in the room. If we
Oh.
could just quickly whip around to, they've asked twice.
sure, okay, sorry about that. So if we could just go around the room then.
Right.
So I'm Yolanda Bujarski, I'm chair of the school board. You go around in a circle. Just announce.
Ginsburg, Jim Kamarmi,
Steve Adino,
Amanda Burns. Hayes Greenway.
Jonathan Vogel.
Frank Perotti,
Elizabeth Blunshaw.
Lynn McRae.
Mary Patridge.
Mickey McGee. Elise Foxall.
Deb Robinson.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, Bibi, I didn't see you. All right, so with that, do I have a motion to go into non-public? So moved by Vogel, second.
Second.
Sorry, Jen, you're too slow.
B and C, RSA 91A32 B, C.
RSA 91, yes.
And
B and C.
you need to announce who's staying in the room.
So we will ask Frank and Elise to stay. In the recording. So at 9:09, we resumed, we exited non-public, moved by Glenshaw, seconded by Greenway.
all right, I got that. Next, I'd like to make a motion to amend the teacher nominations for Becky Noroff from 0.5 to 1.0.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, so all in favor of the amended slate? We don't need to do roll call because Jen's not here anymore.
That's right.
All in
Aye.
favor, say aye.
All right, unanimously
All right,
accepted.
unanimous.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is that,
Wait, one more thing. I would like to make a motion to accept Nancy Fleming's letter of resignation regretfully. all in favor of recognizing her many years of service to our school. She will be missed.
Aye.
Thank you, Nancy.
Oh, gosh, that was so
Thank you,
sad.
yeah.
This was sad.
That's
Just
terrible.
like big thank yous and then
You
Very big
seconded
thank
that,
yous
right?
to Nancy.
Yes.
And are we moving back into non-public?
Are?
Are we not? We are, or we're not?
I think we need to talk about our superintendent plan. I'll move to go into non-public.
Motion was made to.
You already wrote move to it.
Well, the motion to adjourn was not seconded, so.
Greenway moving into non-public.
I'll
and a
second
and Berg.
And there's no other business other than this discussion,
And that's
right?
the only business,
Okay.
correct? So that's RSA 91A3B.
Right, got it.
Awesome. Public, thank you for joining us for that briefing, and I will put you back in the waiting room now, and that will take much longer than this.
It's easier to come back in.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Do you need me here for this next part?
You probably
I don't think so.
You don't need to.
Do you?
Thank you for staying.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
you kind
to
of toughed it
stay.
out in that hallway there.
You had a great time.
Great.
Catching up.
Did some work. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
I saw a broom in your hand, I think. That-
Stuff.